Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about not being politically correct. Oh my goodness. In this day and age, there is so much that you can think about with just that topic alone. So, thankfully, I have Charlie here who's going to help us think about this in a way that we can keep on thinking. So, thank you so much, Charlie, for coming on to my show. I appreciate your time and your perspective. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. When you hear the phrase not being politically correct, what does that make you think about?
Well, I think that's a thing that's going to be person to person. But for me personally, it's about authenticity. For me, it's me being real, me saying, like, I think being a politician means I'm a public speaker. And I think to be a great public speaker, you do three things. You got to say the right thing, the right way, at the right time, which means you can't let yourself be limited by what society thinks or this group thinks or that group thinks. You have to be honest and put yourself out there. You know, one of the things you're trying to show the world is that you really are who you are. And how can you do that if you're hindering yourself?
Ooh, talk about deep right there, ladies and gentlemen. You're basically doing yourself a disservice by not speaking your truth, not speaking your knowledge, not speaking what you know, because sometimes you may know something that I don't know, but if you don't ever speak your truth and speak what you know, then how would I know? How would I consider that? And I loved how you said in the beginning, it will always be different for somebody else because it comes down to authenticity.
Mhm.
Goodness gracious, if that's not on a deep level, then I don't know what to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, because coming from a politician, it just shows it comes from authenticity. And you're right. You have to be a public speaker and you have to have a 360 perspective. You have to think above and beyond what somebody might have in the audience or somebody who's listening have a perspective because like you said, it's always going to be different. So you have to state that truth. So it's like, why did you go into politics then?
Because there isn't anybody like that. Because we have a world of people who either want to control your speech or they just want to lie, cheat, and steal with their speech. And so I have a group of people who are controlling and a group of people who are corrupt. And it's like, no, the American needs a voice that's a voice of the people. That's actually an American that actually is going to speak the truth and do the right thing. When's the last time you heard about a politician that you trusted to do the right thing? That's the thing. We don't even trust our politicians. We don't trust our leaders, but yet what they do in Washington, in Montgomery, or your city, what they do affects your life, no matter what you think. And if you're like, well, I'm not political, it's like, it doesn't matter. You're still a part of the system. This is a system of how you want your life to be. And what happens at the top is going to roll downhill. So I want to be something that you haven't seen before. You know, you've got your Donald Trumps, you've got your guys who lie, you've got your AOCs, you've got, people that are pushing for this or that. You've got Pelosi who openly is blocking, us trying to get, them not to insider trade because they make millions off of it. This is corruption within our system. And if you have corruption at the top, you have corruption everywhere. If you can get rid of the corruption, you'll start seeing this divide in our country go away because this division comes from lies. And that's lies because the people either want to be politically correct or not want to be politically correct. And in both cases, they're using it to their advantage and not doing it for the better of America.
Exactly. And let's be honest, they rather not be politically correct, but say that they are politically correct because they're cover coding. You know what I mean? And people think if you're cover coding and you're putting a pretty picture and you're making everybody happy, then you are being politically correct. But that's offensive to yourself and to everybody.
It's unethical. If you lie to somebody or you're trying to control their speech, you're controlling the thoughts of ideas. That's unethical. That's wrong. You are literally doing the exact opposite of freedom of speech. But then you have an entire group of people who, it's not that their problem is freedom of speech. Their problem is they want true freedom of speech with no consequences. They want to be able to call you a racial slur and you not be able to punch them in the face. And that's wrong. That's just wrong. It's just disrespectful. Like, look, you can have a conversation with somebody and not go to name calling. We're supposed to be intelligent people. We're supposed to be all in this together. We're all Americans. We're supposed to be working together. And when you have people hating on other people that are in America for race, sex, religious creed. Well, you're causing a break. You're doing the exact opposite. I think that's the big problem is we have people who want freedom of speech and freedom to say what I want. But we were
Exactly.
supposed to be a country founded on not freedom, but liberty. It's not give me freedom or give me death. It's give me liberty or give me death. And the best description for liberty, and that's where this conversation should go in America right now, is the best definition is the right to do what is right.
Mm,
So now if you look at free speech from that, it says, hey, if I'm going to sit here and lie, cheat, and steal, lie to get an election or lie to create this division, I should be able to be lawsuited. I shouldn't be able to be put in prison. The government should not be able to touch me for my speech. I should be able to say hateful terms. I should be able to talk about the president and negatively without any consequences from the government itself. But if I'm lying and I'm manipulating and I'm controlling and I'm doing things that are unethical, I should be able to be sued by the populace because
yeah,
that's still a consequence. And words
exactly.
do have consequences. Words have meanings and words, they matter.
Exactly. I love the fact that you said it's unethical because it's absolutely right. And then it comes out to unmoral. Where are your moral grounds? Because the fact that you said you want to say what you want without the consequences, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing in life is consequence free. Nothing, because what you do now, later down the road, will come up to the surface and affect you. And people don't realize this. And you can only really paint a picture of this when it comes to childhood crime. Childhood crime, they say, oh, you do the crimes, it's gonna get off your records and you'll be fine. And when you're adults, you get a fresh new slate. But it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. The fact of the matter is what you do before will follow you in the future, and you're gonna be messed up because in the future you might be a holy man or a changed man or someone who's like, oh, I'm totally different. I have a new perspective of life and I'm doing the good, but that will always haunt you because you never resolved it and you never actually confronted the issue that you were having in that moment. And it's like people are avoiding so much that they
Mhm,
cover it with nonsense, and they lose
mhm,
that moral of right and wrong. Because if we were doing what is right and what is and and identifying what is wrong the correct way,
mhm,
then people would realize why we actually started this country that we live in that's called the
mhm.
United States of America. And
Yeah.
it's sad because I've spoken to so many people outside of the United States, and they're like, Mitzi, it's chaos. From the outside, it's chaos. I couldn't even imagine from the inside. It's like, how does a country that's supposed to represent so much power and so much strength and so much unity display so much division, display so much hatred within themselves, and so much, oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. And it's like, I had to sit there and realize, like, you know what? I'm not even mad at you because I've always wondered what did the outside world think of
No,
us. And you know
the
what? And now,
outside has it right. The outside has had it right about us for a while. But what they don't know is how we got here. You can go
yeah,
back 20, 25 years and listen to George Carlin. George Carlin literally told you what was happening. He told you what sides were doing what. And what's funny is everybody was laughing at it. You know, the one person who wasn't laughing? You never saw George Carlin laugh at his own jokes. You know why? Because he knew they weren't jokes. What he was
yeah,
telling politically, what he was telling about how speech was being manipulated, he knew was being truthful. He knew. Now there's times that speech needs to be changed. Like let's look at something like post traumatic stress disorder.
hmm
In the military, it used to be called shell shock and then battle fatigue, but it's
hmm
actually an actual problem with your brain. And PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, actually is the proper description of term. So this is a
hmm
case where politically correct, even though it seems like it's just making things harder, is actually just properly labeled something right.
yeah,
This is one of the cases where a PC idea actually is right. Um, I'm a genetic psychopath, and I literally had a woman get on one of my posts on Twitter and start to, oh, you shouldn't say this. Psychopaths shouldn't feel this. You shouldn't say this or that. Like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Why are you trying to feel bad for me? I know what I am. I'm telling you what I am. You don't get to change the terms and be politically correct towards me when I'm being for myself. I'm talking about me being me. You
yeah.
don't get to politically correct me or tell me I can't do that or I can't feel that way or like, but I feel that way because that's who I am. Like you
Yeah.
don't get to create a narrative around me. I have to. That's again an immoral argument.
It is. It absolutely is. And I think there's so many people who can relate to that and feel judged and feel as if it's hate because they are not being understood and they're feeling this pressure of like you should think like this, you should say this, you should reword words you like this. And it's stressful because it's like I'm just expressing to you the best way that I know how and that I can in the best form, and you're still criticizing me as if it's not enough or it's not right. But it's like we need to remember that everybody has a different way of receiving things.
Yeah.
Everybody was taught differently.
I mean, the
This
reality is she was over here basically like you've seen you saw a lot of white people and black people come out about the Washington Redskins,
okay.
and saying, well, that's a racist name.
Mhm.
I mean, but how many Native American tribes did you hear talk about it? We didn't get that in the media. Those are the people that count. That's a name that's against them. This was something that somebody was insulting me, and she was trying. And it's like, look, you can defend me, and I thank you for defending me, but you don't put yourself in my place and say how I should feel about somebody insulting me. And I didn't even feel it as an insult because what they said was true. You don't get to feel for me, assert. You don't get to be offended for me.
It just shows there's a lot of unhealed people though, because
It is.
you are healed enough to not be offended. If you are an unhealed person, then you take offense easily,
Yeah.
and that's the problem is that there's too many unhealed individuals out in this world voicing their opinions and voicing their emotions and pushing their emotions onto other people,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think, and they're saying that others people are unpolitically correct, but it's like, where's the consequence to your freedom of speech? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because there's
Yeah.
always going to be a consequence to it. So it's like
You,
it's interesting.
well, I'm not trying to make this a political conversation, but who was the one that got rid of our national, institutions for mental health? It was Reagan. Now imagine, we've had 40 years now of people not getting the amount of help. The government used to help support mental health. Think how many people in your personal life suffering from childhood trauma, life trauma. These people need help, and it's expensive, and they can't afford it. So they're just running around without help,
But there's
harming
so
other
much
people.
taboo. There's so much taboo with it. The fear of
Yes.
what holds with getting
What
help
happens
is
if you get a prognosis you don't like or your business don't like? You're afraid you could lose your job or lose your position in
yeah.
society, and you need that to be able to eat, be able to put a roof over your kid's head, to put clothes on your back. You don't want to lose your life on account of something that is something you really can't control either. But you got this diagnosis now, and it's going to follow you.
It's a double-edged sword. It's a
Yes.
double-edged sword. And that's the thing with being politically correct is that you're gonna end up stabbing someone or stabbing yourself. But who are you willing to stab? Not myself. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
myself. I'm willing to stab somebody else if I need to. You know what I mean? Because
Oh yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the day, I need to protect myself because I'm with me. I'm with me all the time. I live with my thoughts. I live with what's going to repeat over and over and over into my head of what I should have said and what I should have done versus what I did do. You know
You're
what I
the
mean?
only person that has to deal with you, and you got to deal with you 24/7.
Exactly. And people don't realize this. And I think the problem is that they're so distracted. People are easily distracted with whatever they want to fill their time with because there's so many things to
Mm-hmm.
do that people are like, oh, I'm going to fill. But then where are you filling your own cup? Because you're basically filling a cup that has a hole in the bottom that's not actually ever getting filled. And you feel out drained. And then you're wondering, why? Why do I feel so drained? Why do I feel like there's nothing to it? It's because you're not connecting with you. Oh my goodness, Charlie, I feel like we can talk for hours. There's
We could.
this is like a rabbit hole, I swear. Okay, the time is catching up to us. So what can be some lasting words that you can give us?
Always be true to yourself. To thy own self be true. If you're not lying to yourself internally, then you're on the right step. I think we have a problem in this country, especially in America, where we don't have people that vet information well, so they can be lied to easily. So you have to be intellectually honest with yourself. Don't just look at one side or the other. You got to look at the whole picture. You've got to go look at the facts. Like before I even ran in 2022, my knowledge about topics in our country is huge. But I'm a biologist and a chemist, so I can I'm from the base of everything. Like I don't just want to look at the problem of immigration is a problem. Yes, it is. What's the cause of it? Oh, people seeking asylum. What are they seeking asylum? Because there are drug gangs that are running those countries and killing people, and they don't want to be in a war zone, which we have to accept asylum seekers. We're supposed to be an ethical country. So we have a border issue because we have so many people seeking asylum because of a problem with drugs. Who caused the drug problem? Oh, the Americans who bought all those drugs. If we fix our problems as a nation, some of the problems we have that are external that we think are internal will go away. This all comes
Mm.
back to vetting information. It all comes back to being authentic. Therefore, it comes out to not being politically correct, but being honest and having honest conversations about the actual problems in our country.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, that is so true. These are real points to think about, ladies and gentlemen. This is the juicy meat. This is what we are talking about because this is what is reality. This is our reality now. This is what we really need to
Think
start
about that
thinking
statement you
about.
just said. This is reality. What do you hear all
Mhm.
the time now? Reality tends to have a liberal bias. How does reality have a liberal bias? Reality is the most objective thing there is. That means if you think reality has a liberal or conservative bias, that means you're just in the wrong. You're telling everybody you're in the wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous, but it's the absolute truth. It's my reality. It's your reality. It's the reality that we see, and it's whoever's listening. That's your reality of how you choose to see the
Yes.
world and how you will respond to the world. And it's like, and then it comes back to you. What are you being authentic to yourself? Where are your moral grounds? Where is your understanding in life? What is right and what is wrong, and which one are you willing to do?
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that makes you correct within yourself. So when you go out into the world and you project out, then you will act right and you go to sleep easy peasy. No problem. Why you sleep restlessly? Because you know you did what was right for yourself at that moment. And that's what we all want. You know what I mean? Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. Yes, we can go on with this conversation. We're gonna have an excuse to bring you back again because how can I not have you come back to keep on thinking? Goodness
I am always down.
gracious.
I'm
Well,
always
ladies and
trying to spread the
gentlemen.
message of love, making a better country, making a better world. Because at the end, I want to get to Congress. I want to show you guys that what I say is the bills I'm going to pass. I want to show you what a real president looks like. Like Kamala will be a good president. Joe, for his first few years, was a good president when he had Democratic. Obama was a good president. Trump, not so much. He wasn't a good president. But you've still never seen what a true leader can do. The whole
Not with
world has
all
never
this
seen what a
corruption.
true leader can do. One of those great leaders. And I want to show them that because I know I bring that to the table because I worked on myself and made myself that good leader. If you want to change the world, you got to change yourself. Well, I started with me. And once I came to a point where I knew I could lead this world properly, then I put it out there for everybody. I want to be your leader. I want
Yeah.
to show you how this world can be. I want to show you that there is a better world than what you see. You don't have to go hungry. You don't have to be dishonest with yourself. You don't have to be dishonest to slide through society. I want a society where honesty matters, where we really are back to true morals and ethics without being the crazy ones like, oh, you can't sleep with a man if you're a man. Like, that's a stupid moral. No God would worry about that. God wants you to be happy. If you're his children, like your dad wants you to be the happiest version of you, your mom wants you to be the happiest version of you. Why wouldn't God? Why wouldn't
Exactly.
your supreme father think the same way? And if you don't have a supreme father, you and yourself want to be the best person you can be. So you would still want to be a good person if you want to be the best person you can be. There's no reason for
Exactly.
atheists or Christians to disagree on what's good behavior.
Goodness gracious. Yes. Oh my goodness. See, ladies and gentlemen, oh, this is what we really need to think about. So if you want to know more about Charlie, please check him out. I have his information on my website. Click right there under his photo so that you can continue on thinking because goodness gracious, this is the real thinker. This is after this, you're gonna keep on thinking, I promise you. So with that being
Absolutely.
said, bye.